Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
This is the Two Blokes Chatting radio show. Neil Butler with you. Also, Robert Cameron. And Robert, we are very pleased to not just introduce a netballer, but a Premiership player netballer.
Sensational opportunity for us, and we're really appreciative of it. Great to have a member of the Premiership winning Melbourne Vixens team, local girl, Allie Smith. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you going?
Yeah, great to have you aboard. Are you still in sort of a hazy Premiership celebration phase?
Yes, I'm definitely still up in the clouds, that's for sure. I haven't come down yet.
That's good. And I was just adding to the list, but the team is coached by Simone McInnes, who has a little statue of herself outside of Cardinia Park, being a Geelong superstar, played netball for Australia. Tegan Phillips also represented Australia. Emily Mannix and yourself. That's a very high percentage of a Geelong contingent in the Melbourne team. That must be fun to be part of as well. Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, it's great to see that the pathway from Geelong is so strong, and to have three girls in the Vixens sort of squad is great. And then obviously Simone is a great player in her day, and now a great coach, Premiership coach.
Have you used that Geelong connection to help you fit in, or was all your other rep games that you've played meant that when you went into the squad there was a lot of the girls that you knew well?
Yeah, I think the Netball Victoria pathway as a whole is obviously a great pathway, and it provides a lot of experience for us girls, and you meet a lot of people along the way. I was lucky enough to grow up near Emily Mannix, and I played against Tegan Phillips when she was playing as Tegan Courtwell. So, I guess you get to meet people. Geelong's a small little country town, so, yeah. And
like the football development of younger players these days, your what seemingly was a surprise to some on the outside probably wasn't in the netball world. How quick you adapted to the quality required to play at the highest level, I guess, was able to be achieved because you were playing under such intense pressure in these development games right throughout your junior career and into your have you hit 20 yet?
Yeah, February last year.
Oh, you've just made it then.
Bordering on retirement.
Yes. I mean, I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. I think the intensity and the commitment that the girls put out at trainings and at sort of match simulations reflects the games really, really well. And it's so easy just to, when I did get my opportunity, just to slide in, because the expectations of how we're training really come out in court. So there's not much more difference in the intensity of the game, to be completely honest with you, than at training.
Yeah, okay, and that's a big help. You, I noticed you after some of the games, you held the microphone, did it very well, very comfortable being interviewed and then interviewing people. It looks like a really fun environment as well as high pressure and high quality performance. But you just look like you enjoy each other's company. Yeah, we loved being in a hub for the 14 weeks that we were away. I mean, we became, like sisters. We obviously didn't have our family up there with us, and as much as it's such a serious and it's a professional environment, after the game and after trainings, it's a fun environment to be around, and you can just let your hair down and get along with the girls like they're your best mates, really. Your early development at Leopold, I believe. When did netball become so important to you that you just had a dream to play? Well, you've got Melbourne Vixens now, and I guess a Diamonds opportunity potentially awaits in the future. Is it been really burning desire for you for a young age?
Yeah, I think I first started playing at Leopold when I was 11 or 10 or around that age with my brother. My brother used to play netball in the underage, and they were short one week, and I thought, I'll fill in for them. And ever since then, I've just loved it. And I was lucky enough in 2011 to get picked in the underage Victorian team, and it's sort of just, I've just gone along, as I said before, the Netball Victoria pathway, and I guess that desire gets stronger and stronger each year, and the more commitment and stuff that we put in is great.
So looking at netball as a sport, Allie, it's Neil, by the way. We, when I was growing up, which is probably a year or two ago now, the girls played netball while the boys played footy. That was kind of the thing. And yet on the TV, all we saw was AFL footy and no sign of girls playing netball, women playing netball. In the last several years, it's become a higher profile sport, and I know one of the finance companies is sponsoring the league. That sort of extra exposure, do you see it growing? And also, do you reckon that's had an impact on the number of girls playing netball?
Yes, I'm loving seeing the exposure that netball's getting in everyday life now, and the amount of attention that's been brought to netball, which is so great because it is a beautiful sport to watch and to play. I think the 2-point shot that's been introduced is now the crowd favourite, and it's great to bring in, you don't really know who's going to win with that 2-point shot in the last 5 minutes. And that's bringing more and more attention to the game it's the unknown, really. You can be down by, I think as you saw against us in the Fever game, it can be down by 14 goals and turn that round pretty quick. So that's bringing a lot of attention to the game, and it's great to see that we are getting recognised for the hard work that we are putting in on and off the court. And as I said, it's a great game to watch, and I think the more people that realise that and is getting more and more, and it's really great to see.
Allie, the sacrifices required to play at your level, you've clearly forgave a lot of those situations as a teenager, to go out with the girls, have a bit of fun, whatever it was. Is it still a difficult thing to do, or now that you've tasted a bit of this at the highest level, that just doing the right thing all the time has now come second nature to you?
Yeah, I think you get used to it. Obviously being younger and wanting to sort of do what my friends did was a hard thing, but I think the love for the game sort of takes over that, and I have a great support network around me that my girlfriends and all my mates understand that netball is my number one priority, and they're always there to support me. But I think netball, you can have it on and off court life, and that's something that I've always been brought up. Mum and Dad have always encouraged me to have a life outside of netball and go to university and work hard at school. So I feel like that balance is really key, and I'm just really lucky that I have the people around me to happily...
Just on that, your dad, Barry's played some pretty high quality local football, so he'd have been aware of those sacrifices required. Was he a parent who drove you hard to be successful, telling you what you needed to do, or he tended to just be supportive to what you're doing without being a pusher? Yeah,
no, my parents have never pushed me into anything that I didn't want to do, which is, I think, a really good thing for me personally. I've been able to make my own decisions, and I think as a young kid, my parents they're so inspiring to really watch, and how hard they work at their own jobs and their own life. And I think the work ethic in my family is plays a large role, including my older brother who's doing amazing things with his career. And definitely they've not pushed me into anything that I haven't wanted to do. They've supported me the whole way, and always there for me, which is so great to have someone to lean on like that.
I will bet you the price of a cafe latte at your favourite cafe that I bet you they've had to push you into tidying your room. I've had a teenage daughter.
You're not wrong about that.
Yeah. They've never pushed me into doing anything I didn't want to do. Yeah, right.
Yeah, except for cleaning my room.
Yeah, you can tell the dad's in this conversation, can't you?
Yes, you're not wrong there.
One of the other things too, I guess now, Allie, is that we see, as I said before, the guys and the girls kind of went their separate ways at the sporting venues. We now have girls being able to play a whole lot more different sports: footy, cricket, sports that traditionally you could play until you were 11 or 12 as a girl, and then you had to stop and you had to go and do a girls' sport. He said, using inverted commas. What impact's that having on decision making for, say, a 13 or 14-year-old girl who has got some real netball? I'm thinking of someone like a Renee Gehring, who could, pretty much play anything, I would suggest. How does netball maintain its number one kind of, girls come over here and play this, don't worry about footy and cricket?
I mean, there's such a large number of young girls that are playing netball and getting that opportunity. But what isn't to love about growing up and having any sport to choose from? I mean, that's the ideal life, to make your own decisions and not be told that you can or can't play a so-called man's sport or a boy's sport, because that's not a thing anymore. And we all get to play what we want to play, and netball will always be around. And netball's a number one sport for a lot of young girls, but it gives them the opportunity to make their own decisions without getting told that they need to play a netball sport. But I'm sure a lot of the little girls and growing up, they'll all choose netball, I'm sure of it.
You've had the privilege of working with a couple of netball icons, and we perhaps don't talk about them as much as we should, but Simone McInnes, a favourite of Geelong who's played many, many games for Australia. Obviously, you're under her tuition, so she must be having an influence on your career. What sort of a character, personality and leader is she? Yeah,
I couldn't speak more highly of Simone. She's one of the best wing defences that there's been, and I'm lucky enough to be playing in that position and just taking in all her feedback and sort of putting that into my game. Simone's a really strong and determined coach, and I think that's where she plays a huge role in our team. You respect her highly and her decisions, but she's also can take in what we have to say, and she's always asking for our feedback, which I think that's a great thing to have as a coach. Not only running your own ship, but also getting told or asking for opinions from your girls.
And the other one who's probably, without being derogatory to netball by any means, but the Gary Ablett of netball is probably Sherelle McMahon, who's carried the early stages of a real ambassador for the game and got a lot of people involved. She still loiters around the Vixens a bit. It must be fun to be hanging around a character of her quality as well.
Oh yeah, growing up, Sherelle was everyone's idol, wasn't she? And now she's our assistant coach. Sadly, she couldn't come away because she has two young, beautiful kids. But she's always playing a huge role in all our netball. And just to sort of get to know Sherelle has been an awesome thing, and her work ethic as well is something really that is to admire. And I think all us players really aspire to sort of get that part of her in our game.
Yeah, you are an extremely confident young lady, but I imagine you still went through that pinch yourself moment where, after watching her on television for so long and aspiring to be like her, and then to get the opportunity to meet her and work with her, it must have just been a wonderful feeling for you.
Yeah, awesome. I'm having to pinch myself really daily at the moment. The opportunities that have been put forward, not for myself, but also a lot of the other young girls, is crazy. And to have Simone McInnes and Sherelle McMahon as your two coaches, I think that's a huge pinch yourself moment for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that doesn't just happen, though, by the way. Those opportunities don't just land in your lap, by the way. It's obviously a fair indication of the fact that, apart from not cleaning up your room very often, you've obviously worked very hard towards where you are now. One other question that sits in my mind, Allie, and I must confess I'm not the world's biggest netball fan. My daughter played hockey, so that was the game we tended to watch a lot of. With the way that netball's going, let's project 5 years forward. You're in your mid-20s. You're at the peak of your powers, and the Australian Netball Association League, whatever they call them, so the people that run it, say, you know what, we want to expand the league. We're going to include a team called the Geelong Superstars. Can you see it happening? And is that something that you would aspire to play for down the track?
Of course, Geelong is my hometown, and I love it so much. And the quality of girls that are coming out of Geelong is something really good. I look at the young girls who play for Leopold and Drysdale, and there's some good little netballers coming out of there. And if they do say that they want to put a Geelong league in and they'd want me to be a part of it, I think I'd grab that with two hands, and I'd love to play for that team.
Neil may or may not have been somewhat flippant and dreamy there, but the simple fact is,
I'm not being flippant, I'm being serious.
Yeah, well, netball is so strong in this region that is not outside the bounds of possibility, because it's probably, certainly in women's sport, we talk a lot about the footy, but it's crazy the number of girls playing netball right across the region.
Yeah, it's awesome to see.
And we did speak on the radio a couple of weeks ago with a chap called Daryl Pelkin, who's a member of a consortium that's building the world's most elite sports facility just outside of Geelong. It screams out elite team here in 5 years, and I'm fascinated to think, what that, if you were, okay, we'll wind the clock back. Suppose that happened when you're a 12-year-old. Are you more inclined to want to play netball if you've got a local, I'll call it an elite team in the national competition? Is that going to be more of an inspiration to you?
Yeah, I think so. The closer you are to, I guess, your so-called idols, the more you really want to, like when I was little, I wanted to be like them and, adapt all of their different personality traits. And I think the closer you get to people, you realise that you want to be a part of something big, and netball is a great team sport, and I couldn't recommend netball any higher as a sport. A team sport, something great to be a part of, and I know I've grown as a person just because of netball, and I wouldn't be here today. As in, I wouldn't be the person I am today without netball.
You wouldn't have a premiership medal around your neck, would you?
That's for sure.
Have you taken it off yet?
No, I haven't, of course not.
So you've showered it, or worse still, you haven't showered since then. I hope you've done that at least.
No, I have.
Yeah, sure, that's a relief.
Allie, there's probably only one box to tick in your career. That's a diamonds. It tends to be something that's totally out of your control. If you just keep doing the very best you can for the Melbourne Vixens, the selectors may or may not notice you, but would that be something that sits as a bit of a burning desire to represent your country?
Yeah, of course. I've always grown up thinking telling myself I can only control the controllables, and at this point in time, the controllables how well I play. I'm lucky enough to be selected in the underage World Youth team, so that's representing Australia in the squad at the moment. So selections are going along with that. So that's my next goal, is to get selected in that team and head over to Fiji when the borders open.
That's magnificent. So that's the first little step. Clearly, if there's a group of selectors that have already seen you, that's really is now just up to you. And you've got a great start. And I think the best part about it, to have you on the squad perhaps as a fill-in. But when you got your opportunity, you really made it impossible for the selectors not to have you in the team. And that's a true credit. That's a standout for me during the year. You forced them to put you on the court, which is a real feather in your cap. Well done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I really appreciate your time.
And when you're doing that at 20, if that happens when you're 27, you go, but to have 20, sky's the limit, I would have thought.
No,
and now you've got the Two Blokes Chatting radio show behind you.
Yeah.
You got it's all go from here.
Oh, she's got us well and truly covered with the media stuff, Neil. She's very comfortable with a microphone. This
Two
girl.
blokes and a netballer chatting. We'll have our own program.
Allie, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and thank you to your uncle and auntie for making your phone number available to us. It'll be lovely to meet you one day, but seriously, a super start to what is hopefully a long and successful career for you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed this.
Good stuff, Allie. All the very best.
See you, mate.
Bye for now.